Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Moving into the Future. Today, I'm joined by somebody I admire very greatly, so I'm excited to talk to him today, Jim Stevens from M3 Moving, based out of Scottsdale. Jim, thank you for joining us today.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, man. I'm honored. Come on, look at what you're doing. And I tell you what, I know we were just rapping before we locked onto this, and you were talking about your natural ability with empathy and just connecting with people. And I've heard a lot about you from my brother from another mother, Jeff Silverstein. Love that guy. And I think we were best buds within 3 minutes of you walking up to me. I mean, come on now. So I agree with that sentiment, man. You were as authentic as you come across, my man.
Yeah, and I certainly I tell people it's definitely not a front. I really mean it when I talk to others. I get it from my mother. She taught me at a very young age to always be friends with everybody, and she listens, so she's going to enjoy me saying this. But always be friends with anybody, because you never know when you're going to need that person, and you never know when you're going to be able to help them. And, that's a good feeling to have, and I really do. I care deeply about all people. And you specifically are somebody who I admired from afar for a long time because, obviously I never met you, and you can only take what you see from somebody, and I saw some interviews with you, and just I saw your history in the industry working for JK and now at M3, and I was like, this is a guy who I want to talk to, and I want to get in his atmosphere. So to meet you, in Scottsdale about a month back now, and then to talk to you today are something I'm very, very happy about. And like you said, I feel like we're best buds already. So
yeah, we are, man. Buds for life. But thank you. I mean, that's very kind of you to say. I say it frequently that I am a byproduct of others that poured into me and gave me a shot and gave me opportunities, and I will forever be thankful to so many people. Man, it's a good time to be alive. It's a good time to be in the industry. There's a lot going for us. There's going to be a lot of opportunity moving forward, no doubt about it.
Absolutely. And that segues well into what I was going to say next, as far as congratulations on being the newest member in the OMA family recently this week.
Man. I'm beaming over here. I might laugh. I might smile the entire podcast, man. I've used the term. In fact, we had our all hands meeting this morning. 85 crew members, our team members, had the big OMA logo up and talked about what it meant to me and Josh and Justin, and the opportunities that it opens up for our team members. And I've used the word honored a lot in the last couple of days, because I just don't have a better word. It's the most impressive group of professionals representing our industry, the commercial moving industry, right, that exists in the world. And what Doug and what the rest of the team, what the board, and what the individual members have done in the organization since I was involved at JK is nothing less than impressive and trailblazing, and all sorts of other great words that I could use to describe what is OMA. So we're excited.
Yeah, I could imagine. And yeah, that's the interesting perspective that you come from too, because, you were at JK and you saw OMA from an infancy level, really from its foundation, I would imagine. Was JK one of the original members?
No, not one of the original members. I don't know that I would say that JK got involved at the infancy level, but certainly got involved at a good time.
Right. It
was a great marriage for JK and OMA to be in alignment moving forward. And certainly there's been a lot of changes since I departed a few years back.
Absolutely. And that's what I was getting at is as far as, you've seen it from different angles, and now you're seeing it at this young, fresh company and becoming a part of this organization now that is, not to sound dramatic, but quite exclusive. And, quite an honor, like you said, to be a part of. And, I don't say that just to, boast the organization as a whole. It truly is. And, to be a part of it, I think is a real honor, because it is the top professionals within our industry and the best minds in the industry and the hardest workers in the industry and the best leaders in the industry, yourself included. And that was going to be my question for you. What do you want to bring to the organization, for yourself and M3, because you've done such a great job there as far as creating that brand and developing that brand and growing that business. And you do such a great job internally with your team there as far as motivating them and keeping them aligned to the vision and the goal. How do you think yourself and M3 as a whole are going to be able to help OMA and not just in the Phoenix, Scottsdale, Arizona market, but beyond?
Yeah, good question. Really good question. So for me, and Doug and I have talked openly for a little while now, right? Doug is in a tough spot, right? Because I have so much respect for him, because no doubt he's got people that are beating down his doors, and he also has to respect the current partnership, which, let's fast forward to where we're at now, which is in a great organization like OMA. I realized that if OMA had not changed the one partner per market exclusivity, M3 would not be in OMA. So on one hand, we have leveraged OMA partners in the past few years. But on the other hand, we also have had the ability, as I've said openly, to not fly a flag. I can go into a market, and to best serve our client, I can evaluate multiples up to now. Now we're flying the OMA flag, and we're proud to, right? We understand that that's a requirement. We are no longer going to go into a market and evaluate others in that market, because OMA is the best at ensuring that the partners that are involved are aligned with best industry practices. I really do believe that. So what we want to bring to OMA, kind of two fronts. First and foremost, we did not join OMA, and this may not be popular for some people that are really ingrained in the reasons that they're in OMA is to just support their top and bottom lines. Okay. And that's okay, because this is my vision for M3 in OMA. I would openly call every single partner in OMA, and first of all, I want to do this anyway, find out what everybody's capabilities are. But also, in closing, I would openly say, we want to bring value to the network and bringing business to others. We want OMA to be the vehicle to provide best-in-class service for our clients. And I would openly say that I do not care if anyone has a project in Arizona and does not call M3. Now my partners may listen to that and go, "Oh my gosh, what are you talking about?" That is not why we want to align ourselves with OMA. It's because we want to have expanded capabilities and expand our network and relationships. And, we know so many that are in OMA, but I'm also fascinated by the messages. I counted this morning. I've gotten like 68 messages from people, text, email, phone calls, congratulating us and welcoming us to the family, which is pretty incredible. I feel like a cousin that was gone for 4 years, and I'm back in the family now, right?
That's right.
What I'm also fascinated about that was 25 of those I do not know. And so what I'm excited about is getting to know them, and also, learning what everyone's capabilities are to provide value to our clients so that we can expand our reach. So again, for me, what do I want to bring to OMA? I want to bring, expanded value to our partners around the globe. But the second is, as well, I've always found OMA's kind of thought leadership and best practices. And, there are other organizations like CRN, the Commercial Relocation Network, and a lot of respect for those partners. And I've got some good relationships there. But very, when comparing CRN to OMA, and it's not that one is right and one is wrong. It's just kind of apples and bowling balls to me.
Right.
And just different visions. What I love about OMA, when I was involved in the last conference that I attended, was in New Orleans, I believe.
I've heard about that one.
Yep. And yeah, a lot of fun. Legend has it, cats meow late night. Little Mark Shapiro, come on, big guy, get back up on the karaoke machine, my guy. Come on. Somebody might still have that video, by the way.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
But but the learning that exists. I'm so impressed with where the organization has gone. And I was rapping with a few members about the content in this recent Scottsdale conference, which, you know, we were not involved in, but we were invited kindly to the social event. So it's being able to learn, being able to learn from the best of the best, and also being able to contribute back what's working for us.
Right.
So.
And you know, that's interesting because again, I've acknowledged and learned from afar, you know, from what you're doing there. But, you know, when you stepped out there, you were at an organization like JK, which I had the pleasure of seeing firsthand earlier this year through the OMA Future Leader Group. And, you know, Brian and Brad invited us down there, and I got to see the operation at hand. And as you know, it is one of the most impressive, not just moving companies in the country, but, you know, organizations as a whole. The way they operate from top to bottom is really something. And, you know, for when you left there and you went to Scottsdale to help grow M3 and make it what it is today, what are some of the, you know, values and standards and traits that you've developed at M3 that have allowed you to grow and, you know, really become, you know, premier commercial moving company in Scottsdale?
Yeah, good question. JK is one of the best of the best, and I agree. People talk about it, and then you go and observe it, and you understand what John Tice and, you know, certainly Vince Barano while he was there, and, you know, what Rocco, Brad, Brian, Matt Logan, God rest his soul, Paul McGinnis, right? What they've done for the organization, Chuck Kuhn, you know, David Cox, so many others, down to the customer service level. Scott Mahoney and, you know, Shannon Chalberg and Aaron Schaefer in operations. I mean, these are legends in the game. I mean, to a certain extent, you know. So how do you take that model and, you know, go out on your own and take the road less traveled, and try and realize your own dreams, knowing full well that you also need to honor the fact that JK has an operating system and a way that they do things. And, you know, newsflash, you can't say, oh, I love this recipe and I'm going to go take this exact recipe and duplicate it. And not only that, walk into an organization that was thriving at the time, Muscular Moving Men. That is M3, for those of you that don't know. But already a solid brand, and a strong up and comer, but also an organization that certainly believed in the vision that I had, but also didn't know what they didn't know. They had limited experience to, you know, Ed Katz and the IOME system, but they really wanted kind of a guru. And I think there's certainly a lot to unpack, and probably a podcast episode in itself on just, you know, starting a business or starting a moving company. For me, you know, I think really good organizations start with taking care of their people and respecting their people. And that rolls off the tongue, right? Respect is not a word. Respect is people have to feel respected. People have to feel believed in and listened to. So what I love about our organization back in 19, our little organization, was that, and I've got to give credit to the team, there was a lot of belief in me coming out, and there was a lot of belief in where we wanted to head as an organization. And I don't know that we had a single individual that kind of rejected that belief or said, this is not for me. And frankly, if they did, we would have probably helped them find another home somewhere else. But everybody drank the Kool-Aid. Right. But the foundational principles that you would, in building a relationship, right? Just as you greeted me when we met, and in 3 minutes we were best buds. treating people with respect. You looked me in the eye. You shook my hand well. You said hello. You showed that my time that I was providing you was valuable. All the simple things that we learned in 5th grade from your mother, who's done a terrific job, by the way. It doesn't always have to be business, you know? And I think that's something I had to learn early in my career. Those that know me well know that know that I'm a head down hard charger. And in fact, I'm in an executive leadership group out here called Junto, and it's a really neat organization. But my nickname is the Terminator.
I can imagine that. You're such a nice guy.
Yeah, no, well, and I said to a couple of the guys, it's all business owners and thriving businesses out in Arizona, and thought leaders and guys that are really, really doing neat things, all aligned in 3 pillar principles and educating each other, community outreach and, having fun too.
Right.
I'm like, I don't know that that's a good thing. And everybody's response was pretty interesting. No, Jim, it's a really great thing. We just know, we know when you're locked in, you're in Terminator mode, man. Right. It's just get going. So there's a little bit of that. It's trying to just be more aware of the fact that I am no longer a sales guy. Now I'm a COO of a what will be a $16 million organization. And when I came into town, it was 7. And we're proud of what we've done, but it's not been Jim Stevens. It's been the team buying into how we want them to behave and how we want them to treat others and customers and in line with our processes, right?
Yep, absolutely. And again, it is that team mentality. And I was just saying this, and I probably repeat it all the time on the podcast, but moving is so human centric. And there's so many levels to a successful move. And in your case, it literally starts at the top, and then it goes down, through the salespeople, to the coordinators, to the project managers, and then to the move teams that happen. So, having that camaraderie and respect, from top to bottom, and that is the thing. And the advanced group does this well too, where there is a level of respect and trust. And again, this reflects to OMA as a whole. That is really seen top to bottom and much needed. And when you position respect as an emotion, like you were getting at before there, it's a different way of looking at it, and it's a different way of thinking of it. But I think it's so important because respect is an emotion in a lot of ways, where you need to feel it and when it's being received, or you need, when you give it, when you're giving it, and when you're receiving it. Is what I meant to say. And that is so important. And it's so important at each level, because the profile of a mover is often very misconstrued. And I often have to tell people that, constantly. You think of these people as just these, men who are lugging furniture around, and it's not. They're technicians in so many different ways. And, with what they do and what we do is a technical process, specifically in commercial moving as a whole, is a technical, detailed process. And it should be treating as such. And when you do that from an organizational standpoint, it is going to be reflected in the work, and then the clients are going to understand that as well, which is so important. And I can see that you exude that. And I would imagine, obviously I haven't seen, the inner workings at M3, but I could imagine, and I did meet Josh at the social event, and I saw his vision, and I got to speak to him. So it makes a lot of sense, why you guys are excelling at the rate that you are, and doing all you can. How did you and Josh meet?
Yeah, good question. It was a mixture of LinkedIn. It was a mixture of connecting with Ed Katz, and look, Ed toes a really fine line. I have no doubt that Josh and Justin said, hey, Ed, connect me with somebody that could start our business. And Ed's response to that, Ed is terrific, by the way. And so many of us know him, and so many of us can attribute our success to what he's done. But there is no doubt about it that Ed's response was, can't go there. But Josh and Justin being, creative and certainly very smart. I have no doubt that also they pivoted to who is leading the way in the industry, and JK's name got brought up, and therein lies the connection there in connecting, and in particular, they really had a lot of connection with both me and Rocco. And I love Josh and Justin. They're aggressive. Timid salespeople starve, and they like steak. I mean, they'll get right to it. And I think a lot of those that are very successful in our industry, you've got to be aggressive. You got to go for it. And they certainly were. In our instance, we hit it off after a very quick call that I didn't think anything of. I'll take a call from anybody, anywhere, really, anytime that needs help, right? At the time, it was not a JK thing. I was driving so hard. I was so self-driven, but it was destructive in a lot of ways in my life, and I needed a life reset. And in a lot of ways, when I came out to Arizona over the weekend, because I wouldn't take a moment off of work at JK. In fact, I was working on the plane, flying out on like a Saturday midday, and working on whatever red eye I was coming back in, and then went right back to work. But I was struck by the sunshine. I was struck by no traffic. I was struck by certainly the enterprise and the organization, and how young the organization was. I am an elder statesman. So is Josh and Justin. We're all 38. Our average age is probably late 20s, early 30s. In our team meeting this morning, we start off with a team building exercise. We played Jeopardy this morning.
Nice.
So I mean, it sounds corny, but 5 minutes in, it's such an icebreaker, and everybody's having a great time, and it lightens the mood. And so we dedicate 15 minutes to that, unapologetically and religiously to that effect. So it's a young, youthful, high energy, high octane organization. So it was the right fit.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And again, I certainly see it. Getting back to what you were saying in terms of, being the Terminator and not having that off button, I think that's something I struggled with too early in my career. I was in a different position. I moved down here to New York City. I'm from upstate New York. Moved down here when I was 23. And, I was just looking for an opportunity. I know I had the skills, I knew I could do it, but I just needed the opportunity. And I got that in the moving industry. And I remember I felt like I really had something to prove, and I was just busting it and going. And, I wasn't taking a day off. I think I didn't take a vacation in 3 years. And again, I was in sales. So you eat what you kill. And I was very much in that mindset, and I didn't know anybody down here. I didn't have anything. So it was a blank canvas, but I was just going. And, eventually I burned myself out. And that's when I came to my point where I was like, this isn't working. And again, it was me. Like you say, it was me. It wasn't the company I was working for or any other external circumstances. It was predominantly me and the decisions I was making. What was that like for you? Because you were at a different stage. You were, well developed in your career, and that train didn't stop. You had built up a really impressive resume and book of business. But what was that like for you when you were going through that? Not even so much from the professional standpoint, but more so personally, and taking that step back and looking about, okay, my life has led me to here, but what am I trying to get out of life now?
Yeah, well, I mean, convicting question, right? And before I go into kind of the personal side of things, I don't think I ever felt like I had an impressive resume. I think therein lies the challenge, right? I to this day, I mean, we've scaled, we'll do $4 million inside of 3 years, inside of 4 years, which is good. And, but there's not a single day that I don't walk into the office and feel like, man, I can coast today. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Fear drives me greatly. the fear of, and now it's on the opposite side. I saw this at JK, and I admire JK for bringing this to light. I heard this prior to coming out here, but Vince, I love Vince. Vince is like a business father.
He wrote that book, right?
What's that?
He wrote that book, right? Like 100 daily sales tips or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's got 2 books now. Yeah. Incredible. Daily dose of sales wisdom.
Right.
And
right. I got that.
one other, but terrific. I believe in him. You know why? Because he believed in not only me, but he believed in everybody on his team. And I can definitively say, even those that didn't necessarily make it, transitioned out, they would look back on the time that they spent with Vince and said, he believed in me. He did everything for me. He valued me. Oh, by the way, he brought tremendous value to the art of sales as well. He said, Jimmy, he would call me Jimmy, right? The closest people in my life call me Jimmy, by the way. You're allowed to call me Jimmy.
I was going to say, definitely going to start calling you that.
But he's a Jimmy. Don't forget that our crew members' livelihoods are dependent on you achieving the goals that you have. And at that time, I think it was very easy because of how elite the JK sales team, in my opinion, might stir up a little bit of controversy here. JK's sales team, the commercial sales team, pound for pound, is the strongest sales team that exists in the industry. Now I know you guys, but I'm a little biased coming from there. But I think in that, because there was such strength with the other individuals that were driving the sales ship, you almost felt like, I could have a few off days and it's all good. Well, coming out here, it's completely different. It's completely flipped. So when you say, hey, you've got a really fine, solid resume, now, seriously, I am in a completely different world where I am still driving top line revenues, minding our bottom line, motivating Cody Ryder, who's an absolute stud, who's come on board, and he's doing great. But now I don't have a 10-person team that are elite contributors in the industry, right? That I can lean on. And I lean on Cody so much. He's, again, doing terrific. But that drive, that fear, that leave. I told you when I was coming out here to explore the opportunity, I didn't take any time off at all. And I'm working 4.5 hour flight out, 4.5 hour flight back the entire way there. That drive came at a massive cost.
Yeah.
And I mean, my beautiful bride, Chantel, I don't know that I'd be married if I kept that up. My relationship with my 9-year-old Grace is different than my relationship with my newborn daughter, Glory, who's 4 months old. Jeez.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And I've got a 7-year-old boy, Graham, and I've got a 4-year-old boy, Gavin. Nice. And so for me, I think I came to the realization with some good, solid coaching that there's just more to life than office moving.
Absolutely.
And I love it. I'm a lifer, much like so many in our industry, so many in OMA. Absolutely eat, breathe, sleep it all day long. I'm one of those guys. But I really hope that when I die, nobody's coming to my funeral saying I was a great office moving guy. And I think back in the DC area, I don't know that there was much depth to the guy that was Jim Stevens. I think, it was a challenge, man. So there's a big conviction there as to the personal challenges that you deal with being so over amplified and unbalanced in really any area of your life, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And and now this brings up a good point here, because again, I've known you now about a month, but the only thing I know about you is really office moving, and that's a real shame. So I know you're a former soccer player. Are you still into sports? What are you doing? You ever climb Camelback out there? I've done it once.
I did Camelback. Funny story. Chantel was out of town. She went down to Florida to visit her sister not too long ago. And of course, Friday before she leaves, the kids have school off. My 9-year-old and 7-year-old have school off Monday, and she's coming back, I don't know, Monday night. So I'm at home with the kids. And for those local Arizona natives, I come up with a genius idea to take on Squaw Peak with the kids after we drop off Gavin, who we call the bear, because literally, if you met Gavin, he's a 4-year-old bear. We drop the bear off. Chantel has the baby in Florida. Drop the bear off, and then boom, with 2 little water jugs, we're gonna go take on Squaw Peak. And that is an extreme, like, adult hike. They call that the staircase of hell, staircase of death. I mean, for an adult, if you're moving, it's 45 minutes up to the peak.
Wow.
And then, you're 30 minutes down, and you are basically doing a stair climber the entire way. So the kids are motivated. By the way, it's 104 degrees.
I was going to say, it's got to be 100 degrees too.
I mean, we kick off at 9, and let's just say that we had a meltdown. And when I say meltdown, I mean, we're in the moving industry, right? So we've seen meltdowns before, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
when you've got a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old that are now out of water, I mean, those that know what I'm talking about are like, good Lord, Jim is that was completely unsafe, and it truly was, but
You were motivated. Everybody was motivated.
There's a lot of motivational speaking. I was harnessing my chi. I was doing everything I can. And so the funny thing is, if we drive by Squaw Peak now, I turn to Grace and, hey, sweetie, we're hitting that tomorrow night. And I've gotten a few good reactions out of her. She's like 9 going on 15.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I could imagine. God bless them.
There's hiking out here. There's outdoors. I love going to the pool and, having a good time with the kids, sport. I'm an avid sports guy.
Yeah. You got it good out there too, you got the college, you got the pro. It's a good spot out there.
Yeah. And I'm a Fiesta Bowl committee member as well.
Oh, really?
Yellow Jacket. Yep. So in Arizona, they almost have business clubs. You have the Thunderbirds that put on the Waste Management Open, raise $30 million a year for charity. You've got EC70s, Executive Council Charities, 70 members, business owners that are driving charitable impact. You have the Charos, they do a ride, raise money, Scottsdale and Phoenix 2030s. And then you've got the Yellow Jackets who put on the Fiesta Bowl every year. And all of these organizations are aligned in raising money for charity. And so the Yellow Jackets have raised $3 million. And our slogan is more than just a game. Everybody sees us on the outside for, putting on the Fiesta Bowl, which is outstanding, but we're doing over 30 events, charitable events a year. And it is a really neat group to be a part of. John McCain was a Yellow Jacket.
Wow.
And really solid business leaders are involved throughout, but that takes up a good chunk of time as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. What type of events do you guys hold? And again, it's all for raising money for the Fiesta Bowl. Like that's the focus of it all.
Not for the Fiesta Bowl. We're the host of the game.
You're the host of the game, right? Okay.
We'll have the national championship semifinal. You cannot purchase a ticket to the Fiesta Bowl cheaper than you get it through Yellow Jacket.
Right. So
we have slightly discounted pricing. But we just did the youth football clinic for underprivileged kids.
Sweet.
Really neat. Had a couple ex-NFL guys out there, and I brought a couple of the kids out, and now they love football, which is good. So now they'll sit there on Sunday and watch football with me because of the youth football clinic. But we do a par 3 challenge, which is at Mountain Shadows. There's playground builds. There's a number of different community activities, and then we host the bowl. So we host the families, we host the teams. I'm a co-chair of one of the hotels that's hosting the team, it's all in the interest of hospitality, and it's an organization that has been at it for years and years and years, and they've got it really dialed in. So it's a cool organization to be a part of, for sure.
Yeah, that is really cool. I've never been to a Fiesta Bowl, but I have been to, I definitely will, but I have been to the Waste Management Open last year, and that is quite a time.
I don't know that it's appropriate for us to talk about the Waste Management Open and the tomfoolery that happens there on this podcast. No, it's a very good event where, there's a lot of maturity at hole 16 and
Right. I was there for the hole-in-one this year.
oh my goodness. I mean, for those of you that have no idea what it is, just YouTube Waste Management Open 2022 hole-in-one.
Unbelievable. And like, it's like so I've never been to a golf event as a whole either. And, I mean, I didn't know what I was walking into. Like, I've been to Super Bowls, I've been to like big events, March, Final Fours, all that stuff. And this was like one of the most fun I've ever had at a sporting event in my life. It was unbelievable.
It is. It's so cool. It's so cool. And what the Thunderbirds do is really put on a great event. It is the best show on turf. If you haven't been to 16, Bay Club on 17 is incredible. That's my personal favorite spot, probably outside of, Saturday on 16, where it's just really exciting. But there's concerts and there's, the children love it. So
Yeah.
it's and the weather is great. Everybody, back in New York is frozen in the tundra that is early February, and we're in 70-degree weather with sunglasses on, watching people hit a golf ball. So, a lot of fun. They do a great job, and a lot of people don't realize that there is a $30 million, and I believe it's 30, but it's probably growing, charitable benefit as a byproduct of the sponsorships that come in, and the PGA Tour just raised the purse to 20 million, which is going to attract, certainly good, solid, talented golfers. So, yeah. In this year, look, we got New Year's Eve. We've got the Fiesta Bowl, which is going to be the college national championship semifinal at Glendale. Then we've got the Waste Management Open, and then we host a Super Bowl.
Man.
So I'm talking to Josh and Justin. We got to get a chopper from, Waste Management Open to bring us over to the. I'm kidding. No,
I don't know. I like that idea. Get the flyover real quick. Get that, that marketing.
Yeah.
But no, that's fun. Yeah. So what have you enjoyed most about, because again, when you go to that Scottsdale market, it is such a unique market. And I've done projects there. I enjoy Scottsdale from a entertainment, market, but what have you been most surprised about, or what do you enjoy the most about the market, servicing it and, being an active, business member in it?
It's a really big, small town.
Right.
It's really, people don't realize how large Phoenix is. Phoenix is absolutely huge. And you have downtown Phoenix, but we don't spend that much time downtown Phoenix, and there's a lot of building going on, and our crews are really all over the valley doing commercial work, which is both neat but also a challenge, because as you know, in our world, nobody's got a "we're moving" sign up on their building.
Right.
So you can go prospect downtown. I don't know that that's the best use of your time, But I find that it is, as I've learned, as I just mentioned, it's a big, small town, and therein lies an opportunity as well. And young, weather's great. I remember I talked to Josh and Justin. We're going through the winter, and I don't know, we had a terrible day or two of storms where we were delaying dispatch like 30 minutes, and there was a lot of stress, right? And I said, geez, on average, we need to rethink operations 7 to 10 days a year. Like rethink, like can't support, there's a blizzard, there's something, and of course, the operations departments are really dialed in there, but they couldn't believe it. So we'll have a dust storm or a hard monsoon come in, but weather-wise, you just aren't even worried about stopping service at any time.
Yep. That is a unique aspect, because in New York, I mean, we're getting into the season right now where it's going to, there are days and, there are big jobs that are happening, and there could be a snowstorm, nor'easter that comes through and just takes care of that. And again, it could, the snowstorm doesn't care if it's the last day of the month and that lease is up on the 1st,
We did a project in fact, First Class helped us in Miami with the last hurricane that came in. shout out to Kevin and the team. They did a great job. And yeah, we had to delay. We had to push back a couple times. And I think the property manager was threatening holdover, which I connected with them and said, come on, guys. I mean, really?
Right.
I mean, really? And I think they got it, and they approved us going a day after. But yeah, it's in that respect. I mean, and it opens up. There's just not as much traffic as DC out here too. So if a truck in rush hour needs to go 30 miles, yeah, it'll take them 45, 50 minutes, but it's not taking them an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Right.
So you've got more ability to commit start times to clients with a lot of confidence as opposed to, the alternative.
Right. Yeah, that is nice. And again, I did a big project there way back when I was not even at Advanced Group, or I was on the end user side. And yeah, it was an awesome project, really came out really well. And Scottsdale is just a great market. I haven't had the chance to go to Phoenix yet, but I've heard great things about there too. I wanted to mention.
Yeah, well, let's not stop there though, brother. You got Tucson.
Right. I know.
You've got Rocky Point, Mexico. We did our leadership retreat there last week. It's a 4-hour drive from here.
Sedona, I've heard, is like amazing.
It's majestic.
I've heard that.
Majestic. So we took our PMs for little team building not too long ago. We were in it. We were at the office at 5. We all hopped in the car at 5:30. We were eating breakfast at 7. I'm terminating here.
Yeah. No.
We were out of breakfast by 7:40. We hit the trail by 8. We were done by 8:55. We were back in the office working by 10:30.
No kidding.
Yeah, and it was a hoot. It was a hoot, but yeah, every time you're driving into Sedona and you see those red rocks, you just doesn't get old, man.
Can't beat it too. And I love doing that too. So I've been to Colorado, and I've been to obviously the Red Rocks there, but also the Rocky Mountains and stuff like that. Cause you don't get that here. I mean, where I'm from upstate, you got the Adirondacks out there, but it's pale in comparison to the Rocky Mountains and you know that. But I went out there for my 30th, and I went to Rocky Mountain National Park, and I was just by myself. I was meeting some buddies after, but I went up there for the day, and there's really just nothing like that. And getting that nature and that feeling and climbing those mountains and doing those hikes and just being out there, it's the best. It's a good way to start the day. See, I wish I had that luxury here, man. That's nice.
I'm telling you, OMA's made a great decision to come out for conferences in Scottsdale.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And there are so many other great places around the country, no doubt about it. But yeah, there's a lot to give. There's a lot to give out in Arizona, and a lot to benefit from, no question about it. People are so nice, and I think there's a lot of transplants. There's a lot of people from other areas around the country that have all been there in the position like I was 3.5 years ago. So they're quick to lend a hand. Right. So even our quote unquote, I don't even like to refer to them as competitors. Daniel, I consider a good friend. The team that they have over there, led by Ross, who I've not had the pleasure of meeting, but I've heard great things about him, and what Brett has done, and with his team at Beltman. And if all the clients that we have proposals out to reached out to us and said, Jim, we want M3 to execute your move, we can't execute it. So yeah, it happens every once in a while where we're in a jam and we're recommending, Daniels, or we're recommending Beltman, or right, others in the market, and we have a lot of confidence that they're going to take care of them.
And yeah, and that's one of the things I always say about moving, and the New York market too is a completely different beast. And as far as competition and the number of movers here, really quality movers and stuff like that. And I'll see a bunch of these guys and girls tonight at this event, but there is so much to go around, and obviously it's good to be competitive. I'm certainly competitive, and I expect to be the best, but I'm always willing to collaborate more than I am to compete with others in our industry and in our market specifically. I think if we work together, I'm here to elevate the industry, much like you are too. I'm here. So however that happens, I am doing that. And whether if that's to support a quote unquote competitor or, provide a client with an alternate solution in various markets, which is what OMA allows and what we talked about before. That's what I'm here to do. And that's what I continue to do. And I'm looking forward to it with you, man. We got a lot to look forward to. And, I'm glad we got to sit down like this. This was awesome. I'm glad you're a part of OMA now. You got to make sure to tell Cody I said hi, and I got to find some time to get back there. Maybe I like the idea of the Fiesta Bowl on New Year's, so maybe I'll find a couple friends and make that happen.
There's a few tickets left. I tell you what, it's gonna be a ride. I've got a guy, I've got a good bud coming out from out east. We connected. He actually did a project out here, and I told him about it. And he's coming out with clients. They got 4 club level seats with about a section over from where we're at. So it's gonna be a heck of a time. And the cool thing about it is, it's going to be a national championship semifinal. So it's going to be, we're watching the college football playoff draw every single week with anticipation. And if we get the 2 versus 3 seed, we would have Ohio State versus Michigan, right? I mean, yeah, come on now. Are you kidding me?
Right.
And I see you, John Flood. If that happens, I'm reaching out to him. He's already said I'm hopping on a plane, man.
Right.
But yeah, I tell you what, would love to get you out here, man. Love to get you out here. There's golf. There's a lot of good stuff going on out here. And I appreciate your invite, man. It means a lot. And just looking forward to staying in touch with you, man. Seeing your success too, because come on, 20 years from now, we'll be looking back on this and first of all, laughing at this podcast. More at me than you. You're polished, but next, looking back on it fondly with what we've been able to accomplish, right?
Absolutely, man. Nowhere to go but up. And I'm excited to do it with people like you and so many others in our OMA family. So again, welcome to the family, and looking forward to the next time, my man.
All right, brother. Listen, you be well, and give me a holler if you need anything, all right?
Sounds good. Thanks again, and thank you everybody for listening. Until next time.